Well, the U.S. fires on an oil tanker bound for Iran.
Morning, Howard.
Good morning. The U.S. Central Command confirms new enforcement of the Iran blockade. A U.S. aircraft fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room of the unladen tanker. The Pentagon said the tanker, bound for the Iranian oil terminal on Karg Island, ignored repeated warnings to turn away. Since the blockade began, 122 ships have turned away. 6 have been disabled after ignoring orders to redirect. The U.S. Treasury Department has imposed financial sanctions on Iran's biggest crypto exchange. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the exchange, called Novitex, has evaded sanctions and helped finance militants. Iran has long funneled money to Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Brazier sales are providing enormous lift at Victoria's Secret. The retailer saw shares bounce 15% on a strong winter quarter. Same-store sales went up 13% to $1.5 billion. Profit topped $47 million. Last year, it was losing money. After gaining 228 points yesterday, the Dow this morning is losing more than 400 points.
All right, thank you, Howard.